All righty, moving on. Sunday football. No London games, so everybody gets to sleep in finally after
Right.
3 weeks of London. We get a week off here.
We
So
love you,
Sunday,
London.
1 o'clock game. Sunday, 1 o'clock game. First one. Cleveland Browns, 3-2. Going into Indianapolis Colts, 3-3. Cleveland, 2.5 point favorite here. Last week, week 6, Cleveland, big upset win over San Fran, 19-17. San Fran missing that last field goal. Tough for them, but good for
Crazy.
Cleveland. Indy lost to Jacksonville 20-37. Offense, trying to find a new identity now that Anthony Richardson is out, so it's tough for them. But is this the week they kind of turn it on here against this tough Cleveland team that can play good ball, or is Cleveland taking this one?
Um, I got to side with the Browns defense. I think this could be a little bit of the unraveling of the Colts. Very nice start to the year and being competitive, but you're going to move on from a dynamic player that you obviously felt comfortable enough with starting the year off with, an Anthony Richardson, who you can do a lot of things with that can test the boundaries of the defense and help out the run game. And then you're going to move on to Gardner Minshew. Minshew's serviceable. If I had to have a backup quarterback start a game for me, he'd be up there on the list if I had to bring in somebody. But week to week starter, he's a guy that's going to be limited. And that Browns defense has been stellar all year long. So I got to go Browns here. I think it's a relatively low scoring game. It's probably going to be PJ Walker again. So I don't mind dropping the 2 points with the Browns, and I think it's a little low scoring one. But how about you, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I got the Browns here, giving up two. I think potentially it's something that they'll definitely be able to handle. I mean, they are chipped up though. The Browns are coming in quite questionable. With Deshaun, everything. You say PJ's going. I mean, he did well against the 49ers. You would hope that that rolls over into this one. I'm gonna take him here, but it's tough. So it's really, you want to take the team with a good quarterback, but it's really not the case in this one. This one isn't one of those situations where you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna just take them because they got the good quarterback here. I'm taking the Browns because they got a hell of a defense here, and I think that's going to give Gardner Minshew some issues here, moving forward. Indy's got to get Anthony Richardson back because you can see that the team's definitely better with Richardson for sure. I'm going Browns here, giving up two.
Yeah, I'm gonna go clean sweep. I like Cleveland as
No
well
doubt.
here.
No doubt.
Yeah, so clean sweep. I like Cleveland as well here. I think when I was looking at it, I went back to a nice classic argument that we usually use. Seasons
Trenches.
past is no coaching
Ah,
battle, and Stefanski's proven he can battle with the best of them. I like Shane Steichen. I think he's going to be a great coach, but he's still got a lot to prove. He's still young, and mistakes are going to happen. I'm going to go with Stefanski and the Browns calling a clean game for his backup quarterback.
it's going to be interesting to see what PJ can do again. It really is. I mean, because we've seen flashes of him on the Panthers.
Yeah, plays some weeks really good, some weeks really bad. He's like the whole New Orleans offense. Some
Yeah,
weeks are good, some weeks are bad.
hot and cold.
Although
Uh,
Gardner Minshew's fantasy wise, Gardner Minshew is been nice for Michael Pittman though. A lot better than Anthony Richardson.
yeah,
That's a
That's
plus.
that's a plus. And Amari Cooper didn't really miss too much of a beat. He had a healthy share of targets from PJ Walker and stuff like that. So on the fantasy side of things, I think it's par for the course for both, all the weapons for both of these teams,
You
even though the backup quarterbacks are playing.
think Jonathan Taylor fantasy is going to put up some numbers in that game?
He's got the potential.
Think
He's
that
got the potential.
I
sitting
don't know.
out may
That Browns defense scares me.
you
No,
think
He's gonna have to bust off a big run.
Definitely a formidable.
You think he's up to speed yet, though? You know, just sitting out that whole time, coming off the season, and just not really getting any playing time in preseason, really getting any hits. But now, right now, you know.
Yeah, I think it affects the running backs just like following the blocks and not trying to do too much, trusting what their eyes are seeing where it's developing in front of you, because that's something you really can't practice.
Right.
You can make the moves, when you're working out by yourself or whatever, and you got tackling dummies there, but seeing where the holes are going to develop and setting up blocks and trusting your blockers, I think you're right. That probably takes a little bit of time to really,
Get that
just let it
chemistry.
be second nature in there.
All right.
But with his talent, he's got the potential for it.
True. All right. Keeping it going, though. With the biggest spread of the week, Buffalo Bills 4-2, going to the New England Patriots 1-5. Buffalo 8.5-point favorite here. So last week, though, Buffalo, barely beat New York Giants, only won that one 14-9. It was predicted to be a landslide similar to this game, so we'll see that. New England lost to, basically new age New England over there in Las Vegas, 17-21. Offense showed a little bit of promise there, but, again, Mac Jones make a couple mistakes now. He's looking far away from how well he did that rookie season. But he does flash here and there, so there's potential for them to score points. But also, this Bills team, you don't know, is either going to play really well or really bad. So what do you guys think here? 2 weeks in a row, Bills have played kind of bad football. You think they're going to turn it back on here against New England? Where are you at, Charlie?
I heard an interesting clip. I want to say it was Dan Orlovsky. Anyways, that Mac Jones thrown 42 touchdown passes in his career so far, professional, 0 to a Pro Bowler. And he pinned him up against Brock Purdy, which Purdy had thrown like 24 27 so far in his career, and 19 of them was to Pro Bowlers. So, we all know that the Patriots offense is limited with talent, and we talked about it in the offseason and stuff like that. As for the Bills, they're hard team to trust. They honestly are. They've had their highs and lows, and they look very similar to the Bills of last year, to where you don't know. You're scratching your head. Why are they not scoring points? Why is this team so close to them and stuff? I'm going Bills here, though. I know it's a big number. I'm willing to drop the 8.5. The Pats have not looked good, and yeah, I got to go Buffalo hands down. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I take the Bills here. It's probably going to be a clean sweep here on this one. I'm taking the Bills. I'm not speaking for Brady here, but I'm taking the Bills. I'm just not going to take the points. And you know what? Probably third quarter of this game, I'll probably be kicking myself. I should have took the points, because Buffalo's probably going to score more than 8.5 on them. But I don't know, for some reason it's Belichick. That defense is going to keep them. They're going to keep them close. It's going to be a close game, but probably low scoring. I think, I mean, I just feel like Belichick, he knows his division. I just think they'll match up, and they'll be able to do enough to stay in at three quarters and potentially end up covering the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, I also like Buffalo, so yeah, you're correct there on the clean sweep for them to win. But both these teams are pretty injury riddled, and I want the Patriots to keep this game close, because I think they have the potential. You obviously got the coaching matchup advantage to New England, or what should be coaching advantage to New England. But everybody's saying time to get rid of Bill, but that's a different argument. But without Matthew Judon, Christian Gonzalez, this defense it's very limited, and they're getting picked apart by teams that shouldn't be playing them this well. So it's hard for me to see the New England Patriots here keeping this game close, just based off of what the defense performance is when they're banged up. So I'm going Buffalo. I'll give me the points, and I might even just take the over on just the Bills being, hey, we're going to turn it on this week because we've had 2 bad weeks and we're going to score 40 ourselves. So I'll take it all here with Buffalo.
It's so crazy. I just like to point out that, I'm a Giant fan, so I know this. I've felt it. I've lived it. I just think it's so crazy how, the Patriots were better than the Giants ever were in their history. And 2 seasons removed from being that team that they were in the playoffs and everything, they're just, it's get rid of Belichick. This is literally his, like first real, and the season's not over yet, first of all, folks. But this is like his first real bad season as a New England head coach, and no one can even, it's crazy to me because not even Bill is immune. You know what I mean? Bill could do no wrong. We remember Bill could do no wrong on all of these things. The Spygate and this and that and Deflategate and that and this and all of these things. It's just crazy to me, being a Giant fan. Like even after Eli Manning won a Super Bowl in 07, the very next year he got booed. We had a couple bad games. They booed him.
Eddie, death comes for all of us, including Bill Belichick.
It's crazy though, because
It is wild.
Death didn't come for Tom Brady though. So Tom Brady got cheered out the stadium.
Yeah, I don't know. There were some Bucs fans in his final season going, "Why did this man come back? Let us."
That many fans.
I mean, you got to remember, we went to the playoffs. We went to the playoffs as an 8-9 team, and everybody was like, throwing us out there, equivalent of the Commanders team that the Bucs played the previous year. So
hey, I hear you. I'm just not with that. Not with Belichick though. Like Belichick should be enshrined. He should be able to do no. If you're a New England Patriot, like think about it, man. Like he touched the Browns. They were good because he went there and touched them.
I think
and they got good.
I think he's getting hurt by his roster, because he controls everything. And I think the draft and the free agents, he just hasn't been hitting here lately as much as he needs to be hitting.
Yeah.
And that's what's hurting him on top of the record right now and how poorly they performed, because this whole thing is why he was a genius, because he was plucking no-namers, teams outcast
Year
and all
after year.
stuff, and just making it happen and drafting these guys out of small colleges and turning them into superstars on the defensive side. And lately, for the last couple of seasons, and then of course you minus Tom Brady and things like that, all of a sudden it's like, wow, maybe the game has passed him by. I don't think that's the case. I just don't think he's got the horses to really run with teams.
I mean,
how he wants to
really
run with.
it really goes to show how important the quarterback position is, because irregardless to how you feel about Mac Jones, he's not Tom Brady and never will be and never can be. And the thing is that's what they're missing, because when you have someone that good and does the things that he does where he elevates everyone around him, they don't have the one person on that team that's going to hold everyone accountable and elevate them other than Belichick. And that's just not enough on a team. That's not enough. You need players in the grit next to one another, that there's people that hold other people accountable.
For sure.
But it's amazing to me how incredible the Patriots are now. They're just, the fans are like, get rid of them. Yeah. Who are you going to go and get to put in that spot?
For sure.
So go ahead.
All right. Just enough about the Patriots. Let's get on.
Yeah. Yeah, a few extra minutes there for a Patriots team that none of us even think are going to win this game. So let's keep this train rolling. Keep the train rolling. You got next 1:00 game.
Can't wait.
Washington Commanders 3-3 going into Eddie's New York Giants 1-5. Washington's a 2.5-point favorite here. Last week, Washington intercepted themselves a win over Atlanta 24-16. He got 3 interceptions that game. New York Giants kept it competitive versus Buffalo, but at the end of the day, they lost at 9-14. Just couldn't get enough mojo there on offense. But this is a different story. This Washington team, isn't as good as the Buffalo Bills are on paper. So you think the New York Giants can turn it on here and take the win over them, or you think Washington wins as predicted?
I do. I'm going G-Man on this one, and I think there's going to be some points. The Commanders, as I highlighted last week, as I took them against the Falcons, they played to the level of their competition. I think that that's going to reign true again this week. The Giants looked a lot more capable, starting to put some things maybe together on the defensive side. Got a little bit of consistency from the O line. Got Saquon back last week. They look like a better team. They look more realistic to what they looked like last year, and I think more. Obviously they were missing DJ. They're gonna be missing DJ again this week, but the offense was capable. They need to cash in and score touchdowns, not field goals, obviously. But the Commanders have been more than willing to give up points to just about everybody this season. So, as formidable and talented as they are on defense, they haven't been playing up to their usual standards over the past couple of seasons. So, I'm gonna go Giants here. I don't think it's a huge upset. I think the point spread's like 2. But I'm gonna go Giants straight up. I like them. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, it's a tough one for me. They're playing like dog shit, period. You're just basically pointing out maybe some positive things that are transpiring, but
You might be the most optimistic Giants fan I've ever met in my life.
Overall, they're really not much to look at. Plus, the whole offensive line is still questionable. Glad to have Barkley back. Didn't really make much of a difference. I could see the Giants winning this game simply because of the history that we have against Washington. I very well could see this game. Plus, the way Banks has been playing so well, and Flott, who's also questionable, has been playing pretty well in that spot, in the slot. I'm taking the Commanders here. I'm not going to give the points. I think it's going to be a close one. Potentially could come down to, 1 to 2 point game here. I think that the Commanders just edge it out simply because we're just still not healthy enough. I don't know if we could play strong for 4 quarters or if, somehow, some way we find our mojo in this one. We get things going. Their D-line's scary. They can turn it on and turn it off. They could be a dominant D-line, referring to Washington, the Commanders. Or, it just sometimes shows up, as mediocre or even just as, just a normal basic line. But I think that Washington's going to edge this one out. They're 3-3. They've been playing decent ball, and the Giants have just been struggling. I think we're going to get a lot of Wan'Dale Robinson and a lot of Jalen Hyatt in this game. It's kind of like been the other way around. They were doing, other wide receiver packages. We were getting some different guys in the beginning. Huh? Yeah.
I said your Paris Campbells and stuff.
Yeah, we were getting different guys in the beginning. Now I'm hearing that it's going to be heavy-handed. Those 2 guys, because they're the ones with the most elite speed and have been showing it. And they're working out 2 quarterbacks. I don't know who the quarterbacks are, but they're talking about this Daniel Jones injury could be a lot worse than it is. So they're working out 2 separate quarterbacks. Rumblings. We had Geno Smith, but we didn't give him a shot because we still had Manning. So, Commanders it is until my squad shows me otherwise. Can't ride with them.
All right. Well, I'll ride with Charlie here, actually. And so the 2 non-Giants fans are going to be picking the Giants here.
It doesn't hurt at all. Like, it really doesn't. Cause
I just think you guys match up well against them because Washington needs to pass the ball in order to move it down the field. They have their pair of running backs are good. They're not utilizing them well. Maybe it's offensive line. Maybe, whatever the excuses you want to throw it out there, they're not using them the way they should be. So they need to pass the ball. And you guys are a pretty dang good pass defense team. Your weakness there is a little bit running the ball. So if you guys stay healthy there on that front 7 and you continue with the corners the way they've been playing, you're going to give Washington a run for their money on your defense versus their offense. And then offensively, even if you guys do run backup quarterback, a 3rd-string quarterback, whatever it ends up being, you guys want to be the running back heavy team, the run heavy team behind Saquon Barkley, and that's their weakness. So I think you guys match up well. Saquon could have a really big game here this week. And you guys just slow them down on offense to a lot of 3 and outs, and then you just kind of wear them down, fourth quarter, you might get 2 touchdowns for the win.
I would love to be wrong.
Yeah, Sam Howell's played pretty darn good, but he has turned the ball over and he has gotten sacked a lot. So with an aggressive Wink Martindale defense, y'all have been getting to the quarterback a lot more here lately over the past few games and causing more turnovers. So Giants can get wins in those departments offensively. Yeah, they're gonna have to be creative. They're gonna have to grimy it up. And you're right, the offensive line still being banged up. It's a tough proposition. But you do have some speed elements. Hopefully they've been working diligently to start to incorporate some of that stuff. And Tyrod played serviceable, and he's always played serviceable as a quarterback. He's another guy that if I needed a couple of starts out of, I'm not mad about going to Tyrod because he can do it with his legs. He usually makes smart decisions. I agree with Brady. I think they match up really well against Washington. And Washington hasn't proven anything to me to say you're going to be consistent week in and week out. And they're another team this year who's been very wishy-washy from week to week.
Yeah, I don't know if I would play Scary Terry this week in fantasy. Maybe what is it? DeMar Dotson, just because the second guy. I might spring him, but I don't know if I'd play Scary Terry this week fantasy wise. But there's always a chance I'm wrong.
Yeah, I like the running backs on both sides.
Banks has been playing well for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's Commanders Giants game. Moving on. We have the Detroit Lions 5-1 going into the Baltimore Ravens 4-2. This is going to be a real big game.
Hell yeah.
Baltimore 3-point favorite here. So tough game. Looking at week 6, Detroit kept Tampa Bay out of the end zone. They won that game 20-6. Baltimore won a kicking battle, I guess you want to call it, over at Tennessee, 24-16, 6 field goals, the 3 field goals with a touchdown each sprinkled in. But it's a tough game. Baltimore's going to have to turn a lot more in to touchdowns instead of field goals there if they want to keep up with this Detroit offense, I think. But what do you guys? How do you feel on this one, Charlie? You think Baltimore's capable, or Detroit could play smart enough football?
I feel like both teams have got some edges on one another. I'm going Ravens here, home team. There are some things that Detroit can do that are going to cause the Ravens problems. I think the Ravens can do some things that are going to cause Detroit some problems on both sides of the ball, both of these teams. Because you talk about Jared Goff, you talk about Lamar Jackson, both playing very good ball this year. Both sides of the offenses have very capable weapons, even though there's some banged up, pieces on both sides. And then the defenses for these two teams have been absolutely phenomenal, very dynamic, very after the passer, very heavy taking the ball away. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. 42 is the last check that I had for the over-under. I like the over on this one. And I like Baltimore to get it like 27-24. I think it's going to be a really, really good game. This might be one of the games of the week. Definitely be keeping my eyes on this one. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I agree 100%. This is definitely, I feel like, the best day game of all the day games. The later game of in the day, the late game, the 4:20. I'd say that this is definitely the best game. I would say maybe the hitter is the night game. The Eagles-Dolphins game is going to be another.
For sure.
Is potentially could end up being one of the best games this week. Week 7 coming in, folks. Taking the Detroit Lions here. And, it very well could go either way here. But they're rolling right now. They are rolling. I don't see why they can't get 5 in a row. I mean, this is a hot Ravens team. But I like the Lions getting 3, man. I think it's going to be close, and I think that they got some high power going here on offense, and I just think that they could potentially end up edging this one out. I'm taking the Lions and the points on here on this one. How do you feel about that, Bray?
Yeah, I do as well like the Lions, but I do as well love the over 40. The one I just looked at just now is 43, but even that I think is low. I think this needs to be pushing 50 as a true, over under line. But That's just my opinion. So I'll put my money there for the over on the 43 is what I'm looking at. But Detroit scoring points. Baltimore has the potential to score points. Even if they don't, they got the best kicker in the league, so they're going to put something up on the board.
Right.
Even if it's from your own 20-yard line, they're going to make an attempt. It seems, but Baltimore, they're going to have to run the ball, and right now that Detroit is keeping people very shallow. Running the ball right now, even slowing down Bijan Robinson there in week 2, week 3, whatever it was, where they basically shut him down to only like 40, 60 yards or something like that. So it'll be tougher to slow down a dynamic quarterback like Lamar Jackson, but it'll be hard for me to envision the Ravens throwing all over this Detroit Lions defense, especially kind of as banged up as they are. So I like Detroit Lions here, just outscoring them at the end of the day, just putting up more touchdowns on the board.
It's going to be really interesting. I want to see how Hutchinson ends up handling the edge over there for the Lions up against Lamar and
He
the
was
Ravens.
pretty.
This is going to be
He was pretty quiet against Tampa. He didn't need to do anything, but he was pretty quiet against Tampa. I think he was only involved in like 4 plays total throughout the day, where he actually made like an impact
for the first time all year. Yeah,
Yeah.
if he can do what TJ Watt usually does to Lamar, then yeah, I would probably slide over to Detroit. He has that kind of ability. He's just got to be able to tap into it game after game and keep this thing rolling like he's been
No doubt.
throughout the season.
No doubt. It's going to be
But
a
I
hell
think
of a game.
Lamar's that type of quarterback that can really test the secondary of Detroit ultimately. They got a lot of speed over there. They really haven't broke it out yet. We haven't seen it, but he's got that ability to buy that extra time to where a defense that's even a strong defense can start to break down, especially back in the secondary. So it's going to be an interesting matchup because Detroit's going to test the secondary of the Baltimore Ravens just as much. It's good. This is going to be a fun game.
Yeah, definitely. That's one I'm going to be watching for sure. I'll have to find a way to watch that one because it ain't going to be local, but we'll find it. We're going to have that thing on.
Definitely.
And right now, man, just last comment, sorry. Detroit, bro, that's a team that will go play anybody anywhere. Like you match them up against San Francisco, you got to give them a legitimate shot. You match them up against Buffalo, you match them up against
Yeah,
Miami, like you match them up against any other team. You can't just hands over tails say nope. They got they're edged out. So putting
they're
stuff
definitely
together,
they're definitely a team that fits what their head coach is saying and what their head coach lives by. Like they are a Dan Campbell football team,
Right.
and that's what it is. Hey, put someone in front of me, I'm gonna fight them. I don't care. You can be the angriest, scariest, dirtiest. I'm gonna fight you. Don't care. Gonna do it. So
well, they're accumulating the talent to go further than that too. So
it's nice. But keep the train rolling. We got 2 more 1:00 games here. First one, second to last one here. Las Vegas Raiders 3-3 going into Chicago Bears who are 1-5. Las Vegas is a 3-point favorite here. Both teams here potential to be playing with backup quarterbacks as Fields and Garoppolo are banged up and not in a good way. So I believe they're both doubtful. Last week, Las Vegas outlasted New England, as we touched on earlier, despite having the QB injury. So they won that one 21-17. Chicago lost there to the divisional rival Minnesota 13-19. Fields got injured, and then they just kind of fell short there afterwards. They scored a touchdown, but it was last-ditch effort kind of scenario, it seemed like. It'll be interesting because without the dynamic of Fields, what's this offense look like?
Right.
How do you guys see this one plays out? Because Chicago's defense isn't bad either. So especially if you're giving them a backup quarterback on already I almost want to say subpar just based on the performance they've given us offense there in Las Vegas. But we'll see. How do you guys like this one?
Yeah, backup for backup. That's where and I think the line's telling because it's only Bears +3 at home. You're talking about a Raiders team that's played pretty darn well every week, besides that Buffalo game where they got just stampeded. But everything has looked decent enough for the Raiders, and then obviously there's been a lot to go wrong with the Bears. But backups included, the fact that it's in Chicago, I lean the Bears here. I'm surprised very much so by the Raiders being where they're at 3-3 at this point in the season. Kind of similar to the Colts, but Jacoby Myers has played great. Devontae Adams has been quiet, but they got the Mayer kid out of Notre Dame that they drafted. He started to come on last game. So there's talented pieces there. Josh Jacobs. But I don't know how much trust I put in Brian Hoyer operating the offense. And on the flip side, it doesn't look great. I think the Bears are going to be run heavy this week and hopefully get some turnovers on defense. But it's a tough pick. I'm gonna go Bears. I'll probably be wrong again on this particular team, which I have been most of the time this year, besides the
Yeah,
Washington team. But yeah, I go Bears.
you like the
I don't
Bears.
do it.
They're just like every time. They're just
I
like
don't
one
like the
drive
Raiders
away.
though, too. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
I
like the
don't.
Raiders
Yeah, I
though, too.
don't
But
like
like
the Raiders.
but the Bears week in, week out, they're like one drive away from actually like winning each week, it
Yeah, I felt
seems.
like they could have won that Minnesota game even without Fields. It was like, are you really right here?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I don't like the Raiders either. But I'm gonna take the Raiders here. Given the points, I really don't know what I'm gonna get with Chicago
fair.
without Fields. To be honest, the Darnell Wright is chipped up. That's their tackle there. That's supposed to be protecting. Number one draft pick. I don't know. They did everything right. You thought that they were. They made all the right moves. We thought Fields was going to progress this season and we were going to see a completely different team than we seen 2 seasons ago. Not seeing it. Not seeing it. Not that the Raiders are just wowing the hell out of me. And I'm just like, it's glaring. It's like a star. I can't not see it. Dub Raiders. No, it's not it. But, unfortunately, just this is one of those things where it reminds me of the Denver-Chicago game. I mean, we had to pick one, people. I just chose to say overtime. I don't know, but I'm going Raiders here. I think they're the more talented team on paper. That's easy to identify. I mean, yes, the big names are chipped up for them as well. It's not like just the Bears are the only ones getting touched here. Who knows what's going on? Devontae Adams, Max Crosby's chipped. That would be huge for the defense going forward because then that would give the Bears a lot more time to do whatever it was that they wanted to do whenever they said the word hike, because Crosby wouldn't be in there. So I'm taking Raiders given the points. How about you, Braid?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Raiders as well. The points is hard because I'm with you guys both. I don't like either of these teams really, to be honest. The Bears offense is struggling with Fields. Now they're going to be without Fields. They have the defensive head coach who struggling to coach a defense. Raiders, struggling with a difficult offensive scheme, whatever it is, and then their defense fell apart when all their draft picks got arrested. So it's a tough game to call here. But I like the Raiders here. I don't know if I had to pick points. I guess I go Raiders here. And it's similar to Eddie's argument, and it's just based on the potential of the talent that the Raiders have. Because if you're drafting fantasy, if you're a GM and you're picking guys to your team, you're going to pick Josh Jacobs over Khalil Herbert. You're going to pick Devontae Adams over DJ Moore. It's just what it is. So the potential of your superstars to do something is with the Las Vegas Raiders, and that's where I'm going to ride with.
But I very well could see this backup coming in, just like we seen PJ come in for the Browns and just hold over the 49ers and get the dub. Just like, we seen Zach Wilson come in and put up a fight against Buffalo. It's
I like
very
to I like to change my pick to a 13-13 tie.
I agree. But no, seriously, like, I mean, it's something that could very well transpire where, like, the offense clicks around what this said backup is capable of doing. It's very possible that the game plan could very well evolve around this backup and something could happen. These things are called miraculous. These things are called miracles. I don't know. Could we see one? I don't know. Taking the Raiders. It's possible though, man. These dudes put in work. We're just
Hey,
over
hey.
here like pointing a
Yeah.
finger. No
Oh, that's
friggin'
all we can
way.
do. All we can do is speculate right now.
Yeah. Until you
But
see.
all right,
All
final
right.
1 o'clock game though. Let's keep it going. Finish out the 1 o'clockers.
Falconians.
Atlanta Falcons 3-2 going in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 3-2 as well, or 3-3 now. Sorry, Tampa Bay is 2.5 point favorite here. Atlanta last week struggled versus a tough Washington defense. They lost that 16-24. Tampa, another struggling week of offense, couldn't put anything together, so they lost to Detroit 6-20. How do you think this turns out? You think this is a week where the Bucs offense can click, get things moving? You think they can hold this run heavy Falcons offense? What are you looking at there, Charlie?
Desmond Ritter was undefeated at home. That streak snapped. I didn't know, but he hasn't won a road game yet in his NFL career. I think that one gets snapped too. I like Atlanta. They're trending a little bit better in the right direction. I think their defense is adequate. I think their offense, they're finally getting the ball to their playmakers, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. And I think that's just going to help the run game out even more. Tough Tampa Bay defense, but they're one of the
Tough.
ones now that it's looking like they're going to be on the field too much. Not that the Falcons are overly efficient, but they do tend to play the Bucs pretty darn well. I remember they gave them all they could handle for the past 2 seasons, even with Tom Brady. They were tough outs. So I'm gonna go Atlanta here. Um, I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. I don't think it's gonna be the prettiest of games, but that Buccaneers offense, man, you take away the two wide receivers and it's just not dynamic, and the offensive line is just not opening up holes for a back that just is not wowy at anything in particular. White is a good back, but I don't think he should be your bell cow starter. I think I've seen enough of him over the past 2 seasons. He's a nice change of pace type of guy, and there's nobody behind him. And the offensive line just doesn't look tough enough to me. So I'm gonna go Atlanta here, based off the strength of their weapons. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I like Atlanta here too. I don't see Baker Mayfield on the injury report, but wasn't he going? Didn't he have something?
They
Is
get
there
chipped up.
something
Yeah,
I think
going?
he said he was all right after the
he's
game.
got like an elbow thing on that last drive where he tried forcing a throw while getting hit. His like arm hit the dude's helmet or whatever
Uh,
mid throw. That's why
yeah,
that's why it fell short on that last big throw
that's
he had.
that's real concerning for me because outside of Mayfield, I don't know that you have anyone that could throw the ball better than Charlie on that team. Who's your backup over there? It's
Kyle
Trask?
Trask.
Yeah, see, that's my fear. Going Atlanta here. I'm taking the points. I don't see why not, right? I mean, the Falconians giving up 2.5, 2.5 points here at home to Tampa is a hell of a stadium, hell of a place to play. Incredible fans. I just think on this day, the Falconians are going to be a little bit too much. They're going to edge it out here on the swashbuckling Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How about you, Brave?
I'll go against you guys, and it might, you can call it a homer pick here, but I'm going Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's my worry is what Charlie said, that defense will be on the field too much. But I look at their last bad loss versus Philly, which is basically a repeat of the game versus Detroit here last week, where their defense played really well for 3 quarters, and they just get tired, and then Detroit finds a way to score. And then the following week out of that, you beat the brakes off your divisional opponent, which was they did that to the Saints, and I can see that happening again here versus Atlanta. Is they stuff the run, you give Desmond Ritter all the pressure that he can handle, similar to what Washington did, force him to make mistakes, and you don't need your offense to push the ball 75 yards down the field. You only need them to push the ball 40 yards, because you got a turnover off of it or, something along those lines. So I like Tampa here. I think their defense will be a little bit too much for Atlanta, and you won't need the offense to be dynamic.
I think that recipe works if the Bucs can get out to a lead and put the pressure on Atlanta to not be real complacent, and then, like you said, put the ball in Ritter's hands a little bit more than what they want to do. If the Bucs can create a couple of turnovers, like more than one, then I like the Bucs. I definitely like the Bucs because they can sit and they can run play action, and their offense, like you said, doesn't have to be dynamic. But I think that's going to be based off of them getting a lead early and not trailing, because I think if they're trailing, you got Cordell Patterson starting to get back into the mix and stuff like that. Like, there's going to be a lot to contain for Atlanta. And it could be a wear out type of game, chasing Bijan and Patterson and the rest of them sideline to sideline for 3 quarters. And it does start to get taxing on them.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we're not going back to weeks, 1 and 2 football offense, then absolutely it's gonna be bad. Against the Detroit Lions last week, they were 2 of 12 on third down, if I remember correctly. Like you abandon your whole idea going into the season was secure the first down. We don't need to push big plays, and then you start getting down a little bit, and Baker's like, no, I need to push the big play. I need the 40-yard pass. And he's overthrowing Trey Palmer on wide open touchdowns, and or he's getting pressured when he's got Mike Evans wide open down the field, stuff like that, because it just takes a little bit extra long, and for him to find Mike Evans kind of situation. So if it plays to the fact of him trying to force the ball, or in his mindset that he has to force the ball, then yeah, it could be a bad show for the Bucs again. But hopefully, for my own sake, for my own sanity, that the Bucs can go back to securing first down football and not forcing it.
Yeah, it's a big game in the NFC South too. This is for
Mm-hmm.
basically the division lead, so outright, right? Because even if the Saints win, I think they're still behind Atlanta tiebreaker wise, and the Bucs obviously beat the Saints. So, yeah, it's a big game for these two teams. And Mike Evans got to get a little bit more consistent, man. He's had a lot of drops this year. Like, you
Yeah, yeah.
can't have some of those that he's had where they've been pretty
Yeah,
darn
he's
routine
he's
catches.
nursing a hamstring thing, so maybe it's a mindset thing going in with that he's worried on every cut, like, oh man, what's with my leg? It's a little shaky kind of thing. But it is what it is. It's football. You're grown men. Get over it. Get ready to catch the ball. But yeah, no, it's a running joke among some Bucs fans, like, don't throw it to him if he's wide open or he just made a cut. Throw it to him when it's a jump ball in the end zone between 3 people. Then he's going to catch that ball.
It does feel like that way sometimes.
The luxuries.
He does make some
Yeah.
spectacular plays.
All right, but that wraps up 1 o'clock football. Jumping over now to the late afternoon games. First one we have here: Pittsburgh Steelers 3-2 going into Los Angeles Rams, who are 3-3. The Rams are a 3-point favorite here at home. Last week the Steelers had a bye, so I'll look a little bit. Week 5, they had a big defensive win over Baltimore, 17-10, held Baltimore pretty much in check. Last week, Los Angeles Rams looking pretty dynamic. They cruised past Arizona. Now you got a healthy cutback in the mix. They won that one pretty handily, 26-9. So are they stay healthy? Does that rhythm stay up versus this tough Pittsburgh defense? How are you looking at this one, Charlie?
I think this is going to be a pretty fun game too. The Steelers have weathered the storm with a terrible offensive showing so far. Obviously Deontay Johnson's been out. He's scheduled to come back. Freiermuth has missed a couple of games. Najee hasn't gotten on track. There's a lot of talent there, and it's starting to get healthier. And they still find themselves a game or two out of first place in their division. So typical Mike Tomlin fashion, he's still got the Steelers playing good competitive ball. Now look at the Rams. Offensively, they could put up points again. You got Cooper Kupp, you got a healthy Matt Stafford. Now you added a new Robert Woods and Puka Nakua. Downside with that, Kieran Williams, they shipped off Akers. Kieran Williams banged up with an ankle, probably not going this week. Their backup, Rivers, is hurt. So I think there's going to be a lot of throwing. I think there's going to be a little bit more points in this game. I like the Rams 27-20. I'll drop the 3 points. I like a lot of what the Rams have been doing. That young defense has played really good considering how young and inexperienced they are. Raheem Morris has done a wonderful job with them, and the offense is clicking. McVay is in his groove. He's in his bag. And, yeah, Rams are playing good ball. So I'll stay with the home team, and I'll take the Rams. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I take the Rams too. I'm not going to take the points. I just think that the one thing that worries me the most is exactly what you said. There's going to be throwing the ball a lot, and because Williams is out and Rivers is on IR, and you just traded away your best running back, I feel like this game could end up potentially turning around and going in the Steelers' direction if this you really start throwing that ball a lot and you start getting predictable and they know you're going to throw the ball because there's not a running back on the roster you're gonna fear. I mean, to be honest, well, who's going to be starting if said Williams isn't playing. So in my mind, this potentially with that defense, not necessarily with the offense, but the interceptions that could transpire in this game that could get ran back for actual points and keep the Steelers in this. I know their offense has been dismal at best. I mean, you got a dub against a high-powered Baltimore team only scoring 17 points. That shouldn't be enough to win any game in the league you play in, but you won. So I think the Steelers defense could potentially keep them in this game only because of the absolute ridiculousness of how one-dimensional the Rams are going to have to be in this. But I'm still taking the Rams. I'm just not taking the Rams given 3. How about you, Brick?
Fair. I'm going to go Rams as well, so we'll sweep it here with the Rams taking the win. I'd probably go the points as well, and I see this playing similar to one of the teams we just talked about with Tampa Bay versus Detroit, where a tough defense keeps you in check for most of the game, and then just out of nowhere, a dude like Cooper Kupp's going to run a shallow cross where he's going to get a nice easy pass to, and he's going to get yards after the catch for a touchdown or dang near close to it, and that's going to put them over the edge. So I think it's going to come down to that. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. With the over-under here, looking at 44, I'd probably go with the under on that one. I think the Steelers can keep them under 30 points, and then I don't know how many points the Steelers are going to be putting up here. I think that's going to be the tough go for them. But I think Cooper Kupp will just end up being, it will be the it factor for this game. He's going to run, like I said, a shallow cross similar to what Amon-Ra St. Brown did to the Bucs, where, it looked like it'd be like a 3-yard play, turns into a 20-yard touchdown. So that's where I stand on this one.
McVay's a genius at getting, at diagramming plays and getting that man. He's another guy like Travis Kelce, where it's like, how the hell is he that wide open? Like that guy. How is he not double cut? Like how did you not account for him down the sideline? How are you letting him run a streak by you and you have no idea that he got behind your defense? Because it's like, dude's not super fast, but he's always open. He's the Jamar Chase. That dude is always open, and yeah, he's. But on the other side, TJ Watt can wreck a game. We've seen the Steelers front wreck a game before, and they're very capable of it. And Matthew Stafford, up there in age, very fragile. We've talked about it a couple of times this game. If something happens to him, that whole dynamic of the Rams is changes in a heartbeat.
Yeah, very true. It'll be an interesting game for sure. But again, if it just comes down to offense versus defense, and a mediocre defense versus a mediocre offense, I'm gonna ride with the offense. I think in this offensive football league that we have going on.
Absolutely.
But we'll keep the train rolling here. Another 4:00 game, AFC West matchup. Arizona Cardinals 1-5 going into the Seattle Seahawks, who are 3-2. Seattle 8-point favorite here, pretty large. Last week Arizona struggled versus the Los Angeles Rams. We just talked about 9-26, just outcoached, out talented. It is what it is. Seattle couldn't finish drives versus versus Cincinnati. Sorry, they lost to Cincinnati. They just couldn't, finish their drives out. It was a tough game versus Cincinnati. They gave them a run for their money, but at the end of the day, they just weren't scoring, and they had a few turnovers that cost them. So I don't know if the Cardinals are that defense. They've showed flashes of it, but do you think they can slow down Seattle Seahawks here in a divisional matchup and keep things close, or Seattle runs with it as Vegas is showing?
I feel like they can slow Seattle down a little bit. Seattle's strikes me as an offense that's really fragile. Like once they get it going, it can be dynamic and they can put some points up. We've seen it against Detroit and how well Detroit, how much we think about Detroit's defense. But there's been a couple instances this year to where they've been kind of a stick in the mud and they just can't get their rhythm together. Divisional game, I think the Cardinals can give them problems. This 8-point spread, I'm not too keen on laying, although I think the Seattle ends up winning by a touchdown at least. But I don't feel comfortable doing it. I'm taking Seahawks here. Interesting side note, Kyler Murray designated for a return. So he's officially been activated and he was at practice today. So we'll see what we end up getting out of Kyler Murray. I don't know. They didn't give a word whether he was starting this week or not. But just news, food for thought. How about you, Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those ones could end up being a trap game. I mean, we've seen the Cardinals, honestly play some teams. Obviously, they beat Dallas, who they had no business beating. Dallas just rolled. The Giants, I mean, it wasn't even something that should have even reasonably been,
Competitive.
yeah, and it was, and they were up, and then Dallas couldn't come back, and they were scraping and scratching and punching and kicking and trying to come back against Arizona, and they just couldn't. They couldn't get it. Throws the pick. I don't know. I'm picking Seattle here. Don't freak out, Henry. I'm picking Seattle here, but this is one of those games where, it very well could go the other way, and I wouldn't even shake my head at all. I wouldn't even, not a word. I wouldn't even utter, oh, look at that. No, I could see it happening. But I'm going to take Seattle here. I'm going to take Seattle. I'm not taking the points. How about you, Brett?
Yeah, same boat. Give me Seattle to win. Give me Arizona to cover the spread. It's just it's hard. It could be just similar to what Arizona's done. They start off super hot, get a 20-point lead, and then all of a sudden they just don't show up in the second half.
Yeah, you just don't know what you're gonna get.
And then Seattle, you give Seattle an opening. This high power, this offense has the ability to be super high powered. So you give them an opening, and they're gonna take a mile. So
Seattle's ceiling is much higher here.
Absolutely. So I like Seattle here. I like their ability to move the ball better. And then especially if you got these guys designated to return, because I think Buda Baker's also coming back, potential. He was practicing as well. So, these are two guys who weren't playing football. And now it's like, hey, they're our big name guys. Let's get them on the field for ticket sales. Or let's say you want it to be, whatever your argument is for forcing them out there before they're ready, then it could turn ugly pretty quickly. But they're going to fight each other tooth and nail. So I'm going to go Seattle here, but I'm not taking the points.
Yeah, the reason being I'm so worried. You got Evan Brown, Cross, Hines, the guard, and Cabernet. I'm butchering, but all these guys are still chipped up. They're pretty important. That's 3 of the 5 offensive linemen. These are pretty important. That's a backup running back. So that's why I'm like, it could go another way, but I don't see it going that way. Otherwise, I'd take that way. We're hitting the fork and we're going right. We're taking Seattle.
All righty. Next 4:00 game here: Green Bay Packers 2-3 going to the Denver Broncos 1-5. Green Bay here is just got the edge of the slide here, going 1-point favorite here. Last week, Green Bay had a bye. Looking at week 5, interceptions cost them the win over Las Vegas, so they lost that one 13-7. But that was a close, tough competitive battle. Last week, Denver, a little bit of a surprise. They gave Kansas City a lot of trouble, but just at the end of the day, they just couldn't score enough. They lost that 8-19. But Kansas City was looking a little bit in trouble there versus them, and that's the team that half the NFL fan base probably has favorite to win the Super Bowl again. So that's something to look at when you're looking at, hey, this Denver team, who most people say is bottom of the barrel, football. How are they going to shake up things when they facing Green Bay Packers here at home, when you give them trouble and they kind of crumble a little bit here? So how are you looking at this one here, Charlie? You think Packers can crumble or they keep it together?
I like the Broncos here. They just have too much talent. They got too much talent for this thing to stay stinky like it's been. I think this is a good little situation for them to get right. Packers are Jones banged up. Bakhtiari out for the year. And Jordan Love finding his way. First year as a starter, he had, obviously got off to a great start against the Bears and was a nice story first couple of weeks, and kind of came back to earth here the past 3 weeks. I like the Broncos here. The Broncos looked much better on defense, like you highlighted, against the Chiefs, and Simmons, their safety, was back for the first time in a couple of weeks. So I think that made a big difference. They've got some studs over there still. And offensively, they just, like I said, they've got too much talent over there. Russ has not played bad. They got to put it together. He's got to get more comfortable within the offense. You hear numerous stories about him just not being a good fit for Sean Payton's system. But, there's got to be a marriage there that is better than 1-5. I just believe that. I think this will be a game to where they can score some points. So I like the Broncos here. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely injuries on both sides. Browning's on PUPR. Simmons is still questionable. Jackson's is questionable, and you got Dolch off IR. He's doubtful though. But the same way on the other end, Devontae Wyatt's questionable. Quay Walker, Campbell, Savage, Stokes. You got injuries across the board. It's that time of year. The 1-5 and the 2-3. I mean, it's the attack of the teams trying to get it together here. I'm just gonna take the Green Bay Packers here because I just think that potentially they're a better team. Take them given 1 point. They're the better team. I mean, wins, better team. I mean, maybe roster, better team. Coaching staff at this point for me right now, Green Bay Packers. It edges it all out to me, to the Green Bay Packers. I very well could see Green Bay going up to Denver and losing. It's not something that's out of the realm of possibilities. I'm just liking Green Bay and the coaching staff a little bit more than I'm liking what I've seen from Denver this far. Not that Denver can't turn it around this one and get the wheels rolling, and them 4 losses aren't that big of a deal. So it's very possible. It's still very early, people. Let's not forget how early it is. It's only week 7. We're about midpoint of the season. You still have another half of the season to go. Things could shape up and ship out for both of these teams and end up making the playoffs and doing something crazy. It's only 4 games. I mean, they only got 4 losses. I mean, they literally could turn it around. 5. But I don't think they turn it around this week. I'm taking Green Bay. How about you, Bray?
I'm going to ride with Charlie here. I like the Denver Broncos here, and I look at their past opponents for both teams. Teams that beat Green Bay are good offenses, and they didn't necessarily need to be a good defense. They just had to be a good offense, put points on the board early, and put pressure on Jordan Love to make something happen. Now you look at the Denver Broncos. Teams that are beating them are the better defenses, and I can't sit here and say that I think the Green Bay's defense is as good as it should be or as was predicted to be the past couple years.
It's not.
They're letting people move the ball pretty well, especially teams that probably shouldn't be moving the ball. So I like the Denver Broncos here because I think they'll be able to score pretty fast behind Sean Payton. Like maybe it's that first drive of the game. You're at that one you plan for, the one that you have every play picked out ahead of time. That first drive, they drive down, they score a touchdown. And then the next drive, Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love tries to force something, gets another interception, and then from there it's just a little bit of a downhill spiral, and they just can never quite catch up to the Denver Broncos, and that's kind of where I see this one playing out.
Yeah, I mean, they very well could see Javonte Williams rushing very big in this game because Green Bay lets a lot up on the ground, 143 yards a game, but so is Denver, 172 yards rushing a game, but that's still skewed from the Miami game. Let's be real. One running back had 200 yards, so you kind of really can't when it comes to that running stat on defense for the Denver Broncos. They're not that bad.
Yeah,
That's not.
Javante looked good against KC last week too. They just didn't
Yeah,
give him enough
and
touches.
yeah, this really could be a game for Javante if that's
I
what
like
they're
it.
trying to do. I think that that's definitely something that should be in the repertoire of ideas thrown around for Denver. Think about handing it to your backs in this one. See what you get early and often, and sprinkle in Russ when you have to, considering he's still struggling.
Yeah, Packers linebackers, as you highlighted, they got two studs out, Wyatt out the middle. Packers are very banged up on defense too, and Russ has always been a play action quarterback. Like he's never been a shoulder the offense type of Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes type of guy. He was always a play action dude. You don't really think of Seattle as being a run team, but Pete Carroll loved to run the ball. His whole tenure up there, he would run it and get the most out of
Marshawn.
whoever he had back there running the ball. And sometimes it was by committee after Marshawn. And that's where Russ would hit. He'd hit on those deep plays, the lock it, and all that stuff. He's got the talent there. He's just got to figure out the way to get the ball to Judy, get the ball to Cortland Sutton. They got the Mims kid who's been a nice little surprise for him, the rookie. And, the McLaughlin kid's got a lot of speed too, as a change of pace. There's just way too much talent there on Denver for them to struggle. And I agree with what you said, Eddie. It could be a little springboard for them to go on a 3-4 game winning streak, get back to 500, reevaluate things, and play the back half of the season with house money.
All right. So, from what I'm hearing, though, Eddie likes Williams as your fantasy, maybe little hidden gem there. Anything?
I
Anyone
think
else
so.
to
Yeah, I
add?
mean, he's not had the ideal season that I would have liked him to have coming back from the injury. I would think that I don't think he thinks he's having the kind of season that he would like, but I think that this could very well be a game where he can end up being player of the week.
All right. Any others to add, or ready to keep going?
I think I could ride with what Eddie said. I like Javonte Williams. I like a lot of the pieces on Denver's offense. I think they have a good offensive showing. I think Russ is decent. He could pass for a couple of touchdowns, over 250 yards, and yeah, I think Javonte could eat. And I think the Broncos are gonna have a nice night, nice day on the offensive side of the ball.
All righty. Well, let's go to our final 4 o'clock game here. Los Angeles Chargers 2-3 going into Kansas City Chiefs, who are 5-1. Big AFC West matchup here. Vegas has KC at a 5.5 point favorite here last week. Los Angeles Chargers just couldn't quite finish the job versus Dallas. They lost that one 17-20. KC won in kind of ugly matchup versus Denver. We just touched on that game a little bit. They won that one 19-6, but it wasn't pretty. You think they can get the pretty mojo back into this game and to kind of beat the divisional rival that they've kind of had an edge over pretty consistently, or you think Chargers are dynamic enough on offense to put all the pressure on Kansas City?
I don't know if either one of these teams are dynamic enough on offense right now. Eckler is still not 100% because he could not get anything going against the Dallas Cowboys. And he was kind of limpy a little bit. I saw a lot of Kelly in that game. Obviously, Mike Williams is banged up and out. Like when I saw this game, I was like, man, I want to go Chargers so bad. 5.5 points. Give me those 5.5 points. I think I still like the 5.5 points. Man, the Chiefs, other side, offense still doesn't look great either. They're I don't think they've scored over 30 points all year, which is very strange for a Kansas City Chief team. And I, I take that back. They did score over that against the Bears when the Bears were giving everybody a lot of points. So one game over 30 points. But Chiefs so tough at home, so tough at home. I guess I'll stick with my original pick of the Chargers, but I definitely like the Chargers with the 5.5. I think this is a one-score game, um, and the Chargers have the ability to squeak it out. Herbert always plays the Chiefs very tough. Chargers always give them a good game, but they always seem to come up short. So that's why I got the reservations on it. I probably should be taking the Chiefs just straight up, but I'm gonna go Chargers there. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I wasn't very confident either, but I got it written down here. I'm taking the Chiefs, the Chargers with the points,
Yeah.
the 5.5. It's troublesome a little bit, other than the fact that like they don't finish games. The way Herbert finished that, and I don't want to take anything ever away from Herbert. I love the kid coming out of Oregon. The kid is absolute stud, very intelligent human being, um, and rightfully so. He's been to college doing great things, but the decision making at the end of that Dallas game that I watched, just throwing it like that and putting yourself in that position, I don't know. I don't know why I'm picking them to pick the Chiefs, but they always play the Chiefs very well. And I think if the Chargers could get a dub, it's going to be this dub against the Chiefs because they won't be able to get the second game. So I think that if they have the chance, this should be the game that they get it. But for me, what really upsets me and makes me think about not picking this is Joey Bosa, because that is, to me, Bosa and Mac, to me, clearly, I see that as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers exposed when they played the Kansas City Chiefs in a Super Bowl, that if you make Mahomes roll out, he's an average duck. He's no different than anyone else that you ever went up against when you force him to roll out like that and you put him under immense pressure. So the fact that Bosa is questionable in this and potentially come in on a snap count and not play too many downs is kind of worrisome for me, because I think the only success that the Chargers could get is if they put Mahomes under duress. And if Bosa's not playing, then that's going to be a lot harder to accomplish, which in turn then ends up allowing this mediocre offense to edge another one out against a team that they should beat, honestly. How about you, Brave? Chargers and the points.
This one's this one's tough. I absolutely agree. This is a field goal game at best. The 5.5 is just playing on the fact that you're playing Patrick Mahomes, because that's the only reason. Yeah, at home. That's those are the two things that are giving the Chiefs extra points here, because this is a field goal game at best. I like the Chargers as well here. I just think they offer more on offense. My big worry, though, is the Chargers defense regressing more into what they were last year, which was just Swiss cheese open hole for every running back that ever played them. And so if Isaiah Pacheco just starts running it down the right behind that center, then it could be a tough game for them. That's my worry, is he has a big game. So, but I'm going to take the Chargers here. It'll be inside 5.5 for sure. I'd put big money on that. I'm hesitant though on going the over. The over under is 48. That one, that's a coin flip to me. Whether it's either a low scoring game, 17-20, or if it's a high scoring game, 30-27. I don't know what it's going to be. It's one of those two.
For me, I think it kind of falls in the middle. I think it's 28-24-ish, 24, 28-27-ish. So I think I lean over on that, just because these two teams usually shoot it out and defense really doesn't matter, although the Kansas City defense has played really good. Um, but yeah, I think you guys are right. I know I took Chargers, but I think Chiefs is the play,
For sure.
and the points with the Chargers is the right thing to do here, because you highlighted Pacheco. He's been amazing this year, and yeah, if he can get working and keep the Chargers defense off balance, then yeah, that's going to open up things for Mahomes and Kelsey and all that good stuff. And Herbert, man, last week, dude, missed two at least wide open Keenan Allen streaking down the sideline. I think Josh Palmer once too. very uncharacteristic from him. So I don't know if that offhand is bothering him in some way, or maybe the Dallas defense was just kind of sending some ghost at him because they got close to him, but they didn't sack him until the last 2 plays of the game when Micah Parsons got that sack. Up until that point, he hadn't been sacked in the game. So yeah, it was uncharacteristic to see Herbert, but the Chargers are so damn hard to trust, man. So hard to trust.
Very, very true. Very, very true.
Very hard.
But
Very hard.
that's the 4 o'clock afternoon games. Now we get the big heat. Sunday night football.
Game of the week.
Almost guarantee it. Miami Dolphins 5-1 going into Philadelphia Eagles 5-1. Philly's a 2.5-point favorite here at home. Tough place to play. Last week, Miami continued their high-powered offense. They got a nice win over Carolina, 42-21. Philly suffered their first loss last week to the tough New York Jets defense, 14-20. I'm not quite sure Miami has the defense to snuff, to slow down, this Eagles continuation of a tough offense, but they got the high-powered offense to put the pressure on the Eagles. So, what do you think this one plays out at, Charlie?
Highest point spread of the week at 52. I think there's points in this game. I think both offenses are going to click. I feel like this one's just going to kind of be trading blows for a while. It feels kind of like the Super Bowl where you had the Chiefs and the Eagles, and they were trading blows, and it was nip and tuck through the whole game. You're right. The Miami defense is not the Jets defense at this point in time. And although the Eagles have had some offensive struggles, I think they're going to be able to put up some points on Miami. But I also think Miami is going to be able to put up some points on the Eagles. Their secondary is banged up, and it's a rare feat to see the Miami offense slow down. Only one team did it so far this year. It was a road game in Buffalo. If anybody could do it, I guess Philly's a tough place to go play at, but this offense for the Dolphins is very nice. I think Tua gets the better of this matchup. I look for him to have a nice game. I look for it to be more of a passing situation for Miami in this one. I'm going to take the Dolphins on the upset. I think it's close, but I think the Dolphins get the dub. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I'm taking Dolphins receiving the 1.5. Philly's a very tough place to play. It's not cold enough yet, but I think the elite speed from Miami is what eventually is going to end up edging this one out, because the back and forth, I think you're going to see this game. Like, this is a game you want to clear the schedule, make sure you order the food before the game starts and eat. Like, this is a game you want to watch. Don't dick around. This one's going to be worth watching. Okay,
Definitely.
You're going to have two coaches, young coaches at that. Chances will be took in this game. Plays will be made in this game. This is going to be exactly what, when football goes away and you're waiting months for it to come back and you want to hear anything about football and you're just dying and waiting to hear something, this is what you were waiting for. This is the game right here. I'm telling you, this, folks, this is going to be a good one. Slay's chipped up. Jalen Carter's chipped up. Goddard's chipped up for the Eagles. The Dolphins have a slew of injuries as well. This is going to be a hell of a game. I'm taking Miami here, and, it very well could end up going down to the nasty, but I think I'm taking flashy here, guys. I'm going Miami Dolphins plus 1.5. How about you, Brady?
All right, I'll be the lone man taking the favorite here. I'll go Philadelphia Eagles here. And my issue is I'd love to take Miami here. I think the potential there for them to put all the pressure on the Eagles is there. But even if Jalen Carter's hurt, this is a tough team to run on. So, and that's what Miami is building all this high-powered offense, is being able to run the ball. So if they can't do that, then it's going to be a different story passing the game to their speedy wide receivers. And then secondly, with that, those same dudes that are stuffing the run are also putting heavy pressure on the quarterback. So you could see Tua here maybe having flashbacks of getting injured, getting too much pressure, and he's making bad mistakes. I like the Philadelphia Eagles here. Their front seven's going to be a little bit too much here for Tua and this Miami Dolphins team.
I would just like to point out one thing. I understand your feelings. I understand this about how you feel about the Dolphins and their run game. But I would just like to point out that a season ago with Tyreek Hill, 90% of his passes were under 10 yards. Like, I mean, he had deep balls and he went deep, but a majority of the pass plays to Tariq were underneath. So they don't need a run game when no one in the league yet that we have seen yet, one-on-one yet, to shut down Tariq Hill. And you're telling me Darius Slay's chipped up and limping already. I would not put that on that man one-on-one and say, yeah, dude, you can do it. And then you're like, all right, well, Blankenship's chipped up for him to come down in the box and help out. So, I mean, the recipe's here. It's can execution be executed. So I'm taking the flashy instead of the nasty.
That's fine.
Brady's right, though. I feel like I think the Eagles are going to take away a lot of that run game just with the physicality there on the defensive front, and that's why I think Tua has a good game. With the secondary, I was suspect of the secondary coming in because I was like, man, if somebody goes down, and they were missing Bradbury at the beginning of the year, and now they're missing Slay here recently, and they got Bradbury back.
Avante's gone.
That was the weakness, and I think that's going to be the Achilles heel for them in this game. But I think on the flip side, I think Philadelphia could very much win this game because they can control the line of scrimmage too.
Absolutely.
On the other side of the ball as well. So, and they got dynamic playmakers too. And Ramsey's still out. The KO kid has gotten beat pretty regularly since he's taken over the cornerback position. And A.J. Brown's been eaten. Devontae Smith's due for a big bounce back game. Goddard. So the weapons are there for Philly. Can Hurts have a little bit of a bounce back game though? Because he really hasn't had that wow, you were just about an MVP last year type of performance yet this year. So he could be due for that one. We could see that here too. So I think Eddie's right about this is a must watch, and this is just a pick'em game at the end of the day.
Plus, I mean that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line is just arguably a lot better than Miami's D line. I mean, Jalen Phillips, hats off. I mean, everybody's an Agba fan. How you not? I mean, the guy can play D tackle, DN, whatever you want. I mean, he is aging, but I mean, they have some hitters. Chubb over there. I mean, they got some guys. They got some guys. So I mean, it's possible. But I just like the flasher.
No, great way to end Sunday. Great way to end Sunday.
Oh yeah, that'll be good. All right, Sunday football. Any last little touches before we jump over to Monday Night Football?
Nope. Start him if you got him in that game, though.
I got it all out. I got it off.
You starting Mostert. You starting HN if he's healthy.
I think you got to start Mostert. HN won't be there, but I think you got to start any starting person, including the quarterbacks on both sides of the roster. I think are goes. Goddard, Smith, AJ. Both the wide receivers, Waddle and Hill, Tua.
I don't know. I'd like to stay away from having to play any running back against Philly's defense. They're literally allowing 65 yards rushing. I don't know.
I don't love Mostert this game, but it's hard to knock it when you have the speed that they can provide throwing the ball.
Agreed, because it forces you to be.
Yeah.
The scheme that they run is just crazy too. The way they come at you is unlike some of the stuff I've ever seen. Just with the constant motion and the running head starts and it's been pretty to watch. It's been pretty.
All righty. Well, Sunday football, final game of the week here. Monday Night Football. San Francisco 49ers, 5-1, going into the Minnesota Vikings, who are 2-4. San Francisco's 7-point favorite here last week. San Francisco suffered their first loss to a scrappy Cleveland Browns team, 17-19. Minnesota won a struggling match over an injured Chicago team. They won that one 19-13. But can Minnesota Vikings be as scrappy as Cleveland was last week and score enough points here to outpace the 49ers, or 49ers just going to be a little bit too much struggle there, too difficult on defense for this Vikings team to be putting up points?
I believe I know what direction you guys are going. I got the Vikings here. This is my upset for the week.
Oh,
Got the Vikings here. Um, Niners banged up. Vikings flipped the script from what they were last year as far as playing the good teams good. They got waxed by the Eagles last year. They got waxed by the Cowboys last year. Now this year, they were right on the cusp of beating the Chiefs. They were right on the cusp of beating the Eagles. They've been very competitive, and I look at some similar type of situations like that, and the fact that a couple of Niners are chipped up, mainly the two most productive Niners on offense, Debo and C-Mac, chipped up. They'll probably play, but they're not 100%. And the Vikings have shown a little bit here lately, the past couple of games on defense. They definitely showed like they're playing scheme wise under gosh, what's his name, the former Miami head coach. Anyways, but they're playing much better on defense here lately. Jefferson not being there, it sucks, but I think in a way it might be helpful for them because there's not going to be a guy for them to solo out. And I think Minnesota finds a way to spring the upset. What you got, Ed?
Minnesota. Take a
Soda.
minute. I mean,
Tell you about it.
to be fair, I mean, they're both chipped up heavy. I mean, the 49ers are chipped up too. But I can't. I'm sorry. I don't know what rock you've been living under.
You didn't think that about the Jets last week either,
I didn't.
and the Browns.
I really
So,
didn't. I really didn't. A backup quarterback? Yeah, I really didn't. To be honest, I mean, did you pick the Browns to win?
I told you I wanted to take him, but the fact that Deshaun wasn't playing, I couldn't make myself take him.
he did
But I
that. That was his
definitely
exact
wanted to take
argument.
him,
Yeah, but I mean,
and I took the Jets. I took the Jets.
you
He
did.
did. He
You
did.
did take the Jets. Yeah, I'll give you that. You did take the Jets. I couldn't believe that even transpired. And I mean, yeah, McCaffrey being down in this one. I mean, I guess that's that. You know, and I guess is it's Debo as well, or just McCaffrey being out.
Debo's banged up.
Okay.
He's not going to. I don't think either one of them are going to miss the game. I think McCaffrey's going to find a way to play through the pain, but they're just not going to be
Right.
100%.
Right, for
Yeah.
sure. But no, I'm not going to take the Niners given 7 because that's wild. But I am taking the 49ers because I mean, Minnesota's a dumpster fire and you're not going to fucking convince me otherwise. I mean, Madison still doesn't have a touchdown.
Yeah,
82,
has run the ball better lately though.
82 carries. He's got 320 yards. I don't know what better that is, but he's got 320 yards on the season, 82 carries. That's tough. They're still one-dimensional. You got Justin Jefferson here on IR. I really just wish.
You dropping the 7 with the dumpster fire and no
Yeah,
running game.
yeah. I'm not taking the 7. I'm not taking.
So it's going to be a 1-score game, so the Vikings can win. Thank you.
I mean, it's possible, yeah, but I don't see
There you
it.
go.
I mean, anything's possible, right? It's possible it could snow tomorrow. It's possible here.
Drop them 7.
All right, I'll take the 7. I'm taking the 7. I'm taking a 7. 49ers
right.
and the damn 7. I'm
Damn,
marking it down. It's
Hey.
marked.
I'm same boat though. I'm going San Francisco 49ers. Give me the points. The Minnesota defense hasn't shown me anything. You know, you let a struggling Bears offense move the football, and it just so happened that you luckily got the quarterback hurt on his first drive of the second half. And then, you had a fumble for a touchdown. Like, your offense clearly isn't pretty without Justin Jefferson. You saw that last week versus Chicago as well, who's a struggling defense. Now you're going to go against arguably the best defense or a top 3 defense in the league, and then an offense that is very well coached. Even if McCaffrey, Debo don't play, they're going to scheme something up for the guys they do have to move the ball efficiently. So I'm going 49ers here on a blowout.
The New York Giants allowed the 49ers to score 30 on their defense. And 2 weeks later, they play Dallas, and Dallas 42. They put 42 up on Dallas's defense. And McCaffrey played against the Giants and he played against Dallas. So make sense if we're comparing things that don't really make sense. Like Charlie picking Minnesota to win doesn't make sense.
Fair.
I hear you. I hear you.
All right.
It's fair.
Anything else to add here instead of taking more shots at Charlie?
Drama.
No, I mean, first week without Jefferson, offense probably going to look a little crappier. Plus, you were on grass, Soldier Field, not the best playing surface, versus being at home on the turf where you're a lot faster. The O'Connell offense, just like the Rams' old offense, they move a lot better on the turf. So I think, scheme for scheme, it could be, a little bit tighter. That's all I'm saying. And I mean, Niners probably win this game. I get that. But I wouldn't lay the 7 with the Niners at this point in time with those pieces banged up.
Yeah, I didn't want to either.
It's a trappy type game. It's a trappy type game. You're coming off a loss, and you're going to play an opponent who you're probably not respecting a whole hell of a lot. It could turn into 2 very easily when you do something like that. And I feel like that's a possibility. That's why I took the Vikings.
It could. I'm just poking.
Hell of a week, though. Hell of a week. Football's been great. Like, week to week. Last week watching that Jets game against Philly to end the day, beautiful, beautiful football. I didn't have a dog in the fight, but it's just good stuff to watch.
No doubt. These night games are fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep. All right.
Thank you to both of you guys. Thank you to all the people out there showing love. Keep it coming.
Thank you.
With questions. We're constantly trying to add new things to our repertoire as well. So we appreciate the support.
Appreciate everybody, man. Thank you. We love you guys, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Week 7, here we come.
In the books.
In the books.